We like Stromboli.
Okay, we're live.
Happy Stromboli Day! Just kidding, it's rough month.
Is it
I just like Stromboli is a fun word to say. You know what I
okay.
mean?
Also really. I don't know where
Just
you are,
any
Sophia, but I just put your name label on your chair.
I will be over in just a second. I'm getting a little ADHD obsessed with Magick because I realized I need to color fix slightly in one direction of my deck, and I need to do it while I have it in my brain, or I'm gonna fucking forget about it. But anyways, how's everybody doing?
That's actually an interesting topic. So, when it comes to magic stuff, like, do you procrastinate on your own magic, or do you take care of things right away?
I was actually talking about Magic the Gathering, but sometimes I will be compulsive with real life Magic, just the same way I am with Magic the Gathering Magic. Because if you tend to let it forget, you tend to fucking not do shit with it. I don't know why, but that's
What about you, Scott? I I try like lately I'm more on top of it than I have in the past. I feel like I don't want to say like sometimes I just have the really at the end of it. Right. Sometimes it's like, my body hurts or what have you, and then there are times like I realize a lot of the magic that has really been to um make myself just feel better or of life, right? Like right. Move things out of the way, make myself feel powerful, like just like work like that, like on myself for myself, if that makes any sense. And I feel like a lot of that work is powerful when it's like so getting into a mindset and like annoying yourself in particular oils and that like that becomes an incredibly powerful ritual when you keep yourself and I like to use like self more presence instead of like commanding sort of necessarily others, but more showing an aura of somebody who commands, somebody who right, because it's like you gotta put, which I feel as if like in part that's I feel what I'm trying to get at is it smaller smaller ritual than constantly feeling that I need to, which really I mean you don't have to because like especially for like our rituals were never extravagant that maybe in front or beside your altar pray or bag of some kind in bag from um like it was very simple magic, so I don't always feel like I have now, and it makes when I recognize not all of my rituals need to be complicated incredibly. That's for me, right? Like I don't want to like tell people, yeah, like for me, like I take time to like I think I used to just fire off spells. I thought like someone had something or if something was in my way, like I would just fire off something, at I'm talking about when I was younger. But like now in my practice, I'm like I ain't got time for elaborate rituals. Like I really just don't. And I used to construct more elaborate rituals. Kind of in the same right now. I just I don't have time for something super elaborate, but I also don't feel like right. I don't need that pomp and circumstance. Like there are times I don't want to let the practice go. You know what I mean? I think I prefer ritual with others. I think I think in a lot of ways for the traditions that we practice within, it makes sense. know what I mean?
Can you lean in just a little more?
Yep. So sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, like with the traditions that we practice with, we didn't always like. It's not like these the times we've circled together. It's not. It was never really ceremonial magic. You know what I mean? Where like there was particular steps you had to take and only move in one direction and had to like pick hand gestures. It was never that way. Our kind of magic. So a lot of it was very ecstatic. Certain parts of it were very in the. We wrote some stuff down. Kind of were just
and
like,
then changed it on the fly.
Yeah, if it didn't work, yeah, like
yeah.
So
that's magic, baby.
Like I would don't get me wrong. There are parts of me that would like to do stuff, but the thing is, like, not only not having time, not having the energy. There's also the fact of like, I would like to be when you're doing ritual, regardless of whether it's like, I like having like doing that like ritual type of stuff. I would want to splurge a little bit too. Like I want them to, like splurge a little bit on material. You know what I mean? Because I don't think you need to do ritual all the time.
Yeah.
I think that ritual, so like, for recognizing, conjuring energies of change. What else? Even planetary, but also, though not necessarily. I did really lunar magic a couple nights ago because I forgot this much. But yeah. So
versus extravagant. And I think a lot about like you think about like what ceremonial magic is, right? Like a lot of the Crowley stuff, all those writings, and of course, like they had all the time in the world to fucking get together because weren't they all like how did they make money? Like, what did they all do for a living? How did y'all pay your bills?
Well,
were y'all just
no.
like
they were
There was also different economies back in the day. Like, we should also give a shout out to modern capitalism for just soul crushingly fucking us endlessly with cost of living so that we can't even do anything. Like, we're a very special kind of poor in the world right now, if you know what I mean.
I would also say that many,
right, and I feel like a lot of them were kind of like already just like,
I mean,
well off.
One of them, the guy who pushed Crowley down the steps in the
Yeats.
Yeah, he was an incredibly wealthy author. He has a whole estate,
Yates,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He still has.
I guess occasionally the rich end up on the right side of history, huh?
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about him personally. Author.
I just know he kicked Crowley down the stairs, and I gave him points for that.
Yeah, like a lot of them are wealthy. Yates has like a whole, call like
the Yates Estates.
The Yates Estates. Like he has like a lawyer that, not mistaken.
Because like that's a lot of the struggle in what the, because there's like a difference between what I would say like occult community. The occult community, like, that's more focused on magic itself. That's like experimentation and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus paganism, that's more spiritual. That kind of goes into the. And a lot of that is built around community building. A lot of people, they want to come together for rituals. They want to come together for workshops and celebrations, learn and have a sense. And that costs fucking money. Right. And because it's like, okay, well, you go to a park. Okay, great. Now, if you have a gathering of more than 10 to 15 people and you're doing some kind of ritual thing at the park, and people are gonna be like, is this a, and if people want to get uppity about it, they can and will, and then it becomes, well, have a permit for this. Can, it's just like everything is so, we put so much red tape.
Yeah, like it's funny because I was just.
That's when you let the NIMBYs win. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
No, go ahead.
That's what I said. That's what happens when you let the NIMBYs win. They're always about everybody else's business, and they don't actually really help anyone with anything. They just exert themselves into a position of importance. I swear I'll be in front of the camera in just a minute. It's just if I leave this unpicked up, the kitten will fucking destroy it.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling. You can't leave things around for.
She's only 7 months, so she does not understand no.
Oh yeah, there's no concept of right and wrong at that point.
Yeah. Where's my case for this?
But funny because I was kind of all this right. Yeah. Where and when you practice something, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's watch it. Mom and I were called the or something.
I love a good ghost show. It's like a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I know.
Because like you can glean little nuggets from those shows.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like it was just like really fun to watch because like the final episode. The final episode, like first, like, and who's thought about how the whole lands of Wales and like black magic and paganism, and I'm just like, oh god.
The witches.
They were like talking about how witchcraft is on the rise. Sorry, I was on the rise in Wales, and all like they were like giving you a warning about.
And then it's
witches.
like Mara Starling's like face.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, I wonder if Mara Starling, you can hear this. But they have this thing in the UK called the Freedom of Rome.
Okay.
It's actually like an acted. You can like go, like, wander anywhere. Like you can wander through someone's fields.
Like in America,
there are laws around it.
Like
but,
in America, if you
it.
accidentally wound up on someone's foot, like say you were just taking a walk through the woods, because like sometimes it's really hard to know what's private property and what's not, especially in more rural areas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have no obvious signage here. You know what I mean? So if you wander on someone's property, like people shoot you.
Yeah.
You know, and like it makes people not want to go outside. it makes people not want to go anywhere.
I mean, and with that, like you were saying though, red tape and stuff, where when they can like really just they go off to these beautiful like waterfalls or whatever, and they could just do what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? We don't have access to things like that.
I just realized.
Yeah, you could.
That hurts enough.
Okay.
Yeah, Scott and Darian haven't been up to our new place yet. To actually get like a little bit of a glimpse of background here, because normally I have a background. It's nice to have almost everyone in one space. Sophia, I can't hear you. Muted.
I was making noises. I'm okay over here. I'll be fine. In quotations, America's unsafe, and I don't know how soon I feel okay traveling there.
I just wish
Not
like
to say,
I
like,
could install.
It's unsafe, but just like a bunch of shit's going down, and I don't know if I got the spoons for it.
Yeah, I just wish I could like I can install like a teleporter at your place and a teleporter at my place, and then it's just like we don't got to deal with like TSA and flying and any of that crap.
Y'all can always come to Canada road trip.
It is a plan. I have me and Rue. We got passports. I don't know if you guys have passports.
Me too.
Speaking of red tape, passport.
What's up?
Oh, what's up? There's a Rue here.
The new
Rue did it. Oh gosh.
5 aren't active.
No, only for domestic.
Only for domestic. Okay. Internationally, you still gotta show the passport. It's really about getting back in, I think. It's just like dumb. Like, okay, so it's like, okay, I'm an American citizen. I lost my passport. I'm trying to get back in the U.S. from Canada. Like, no. Okay. So, do I stay in Canada? So, like, where do I go? They just yeet you off Niagara Falls and just say good luck.
In the red tape vein,
They're like,
still have to
die.
go to the embassy, do a whole bunch of hoops at the U.S. Embassy.
Probably like cry a couple times. Yeah.
Self-flagellate a little.
Right? Yeah. I'm so sorry. Man, go ahead.
What's that? Mea culpa? My bad?
Is it mea
I
culpa
don't
or
know.
mea culpa? I never. Is it
I
culpa?
don't know.
Mea culpa.
Mea culpa?
Je ne parle pas.
I don't know.
Je ne parle pas.
I've heard it in an Enigma song, and it sounded like mea culpa, but they're also like German, I think, German or French or something. That could just be accent.
Nein, sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Mea culpa.
I said I don't speak French and I don't speak German.
Trying to learn German. I've been reading a lot more about lava, like
Mhm.
like their stories and like their myths and stuff like that. And what really spoke to me, one thing that they call, really hoping I don't butcher this, Duselfleck, like the sacred promise, the sacred, it's like the sacred promise kind of.
Okay.
And the whole thing is settled around this. Their whole purpose, mission, whatever, as humans on this earth, is to make this earth fit for the gods. Like, to continue the work that the gods were doing to make this earth beautiful, but to make it beautiful enough for them to come back and hang out with us. Like, that's literally the whole point, is be a good person, be good with the spirits, make this world beautiful so the gods come and hang out with us. And I was like, that's kind of my whole thing. That's kind of my whole motherfucking
And then I
thing.
want to come in with a side eye and be like, God's never left. They're just quiet and watching you motherfuckers.
There's a piggy. I locked him in the room with me after I set up this whole perfect camera thing.
Oh, Biggie's locked in the room.
We love our cat. Our cats. They're really, really, really good. Hey, hey there, cat. Get off. Get off that fucking shelf.
I know, this is kind of a chaotic stream. Oh.
Every stream's a chaotic
Stuffy's behind
stream
my
here.
fat like a good stream.
We're not professionals. We don't have a Patreon. We're not making money for this. We're never going to make money for this. There's no reason. There's no reason for treason.
I'd like to make money at some point.
I guess there's a reason.
Money's maybe one day. Yeah, well.
I don't know. There should be
for
chat,
president.
but it's not showing for me. You're chatting and I don't see you. It's not working. It's a stream of pure chaos today.
We can't see the chat?
No, I cannot see the YouTube.
Oh, diggity. Rue,
Hold
can
on.
you?
I'm gonna get there. Hold on.
Yeah, because
They're gonna get there.
When Rouge joined on, all the things got moved around. I gotta move everyone's
Okay, why you never see me on camera is they color fix me to make me look way than I actually am, and it pisses me off. That's why I don't go on camera.
Where?
The only camera I ever had that didn't color fix me without having to fucking circumvent it was, or to like make it go regular, was a phone from China. For some reason, they had a normal color balance saying they could actually take photos of my skin.
I will say, you do look pretty golden. Lighting
Thanks.
that you got. You look very, very summery. You look like you've been laying on a beach. So what have you been
How
up
do I
to?
get rid of this sound of
Huh?
YouTube?
There's no
Hold on.
sound on YouTube?
I got it. I got it.
Oh.
I got it.
I was like, there should be, because everything's all...
No, I want to turn the sound off on YouTube because I'm hearing double. Because I put the stream up so I could see the chat.
Gotcha. So what have you been up to, Sophia? What's been going on in your life?
Nothing. Stuff I can't really talk about on stream. I told y'all a little bit about it beforehand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know how I really talk about that when it's a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, other than that, is there anything, any particular magical thing or, you know, topic, anything that's been kind of burning in your brain to kind of bring up on the podcast?
I don't know. I'm kind of dumb right now. It's like I'm getting. See, now in your life, you kind of get lost in the side quests a lot of the time.
That's me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's side quest party time. I'm just gonna go pantomime. And then suddenly your life comes along and it's just knocking. And it's like, hello, main quest. Hi, it's here. And it hits you over in the head with the baseball bat and it drags you out. And you wake up in a trunk and you have to respond.
You're like, hold on.
It's kind of like that. It might end up being good. It might end up being the worst thing ever. We'll see. Probably not the worst thing ever, but we'll see how shit goes. Either my life is going to improve dramatically, or it's going to kind of fall the fuck apart in the next year or two.
Well,
So
I guess you'll take those odds.
Shit's weird.
Yeah.
Shit's weird.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm back to doing like episodes of Stranger Things is my life. You know what I mean? Were you gonna say
kind of
Scott?
weird?
No, I was just saying, like, I totally, like, I get that monotonous. Like, there's nothing really interesting. You know what I mean? It's just I'm existing in life as we're living right now. You know what I mean? And
No, I mean, I do got shit going. I can't talk about it on the podcast.
Right. But I mean, like, you know, like the ambient life happening.
Yeah, like for me, like it's just sometimes I get really caught, right? Especially as someone who does this podcast, right? And someone that's like, should I be posting online all the time? You know, about what I'm doing? Should I be trying to reach out to people? Should I be posting? Should I be and then sometimes, you know, it becomes like, well, is your witchcraft practice just is that what it is?
Yeah.
You know?
The real question is like, what is posting? The thing is, what does posting do? Right? Are you posting to show that you're a witch to signal to other people? Or are you posting because it's constructive to whatever you're trying to do, if it's community building or something? And then, like, where are you posting that? Why are you posting that? What are you posting?
Right. So it's like this sense of like, it almost feels like, at least maybe in the online world, which like I'm a lurker in a lot of social media spaces. I'm reading everything. I'm having opinions. I'm having a whole comment in my head, but I'm not typing it the fuck out because I just don't give a shit. I just don't give a shit anymore.
I have something.
Yes,
please. This literally happened yesterday. Literally yesterday. I actually walked up to him. Please tell me why I don't argue with other witches on the internet, because I wanted him to like make me stop. So I follow this group, Brad Witch.
Okay.
And there's people on there, but there are some people. So one of my favorite authors, Oregon, has a new book coming. Where it is something about traditional witchcraft, something, and traditional witchcraft, cannibalism, and something else.
That's a topic.
I don't know like the meat and bones of it, but I know that Lee is an incredible author.
That's a hammy joke.
And Lee is an incredible author and very insightful. Two of his books, got a name I talk about all the time, and there's also another one that I've read most of, which is Standing Not Falling, and both of which are really useful. And this new book has got people kind of all ruffling some feathers because of like traditional witch cannibalism part. and
Yeah.
people, of course, are reading way like they're kind of clearly they've never read his work previously, but also too they're making like these ridiculous, very. I'm not used to this like demoralizing, like where people are like over sort of like policing other people's morals thing.
Yeah.
I don't know where. I mean, I know where it's coming from, so I'm not gonna have to speak on that. But like, I just can't believe that you're in a tradcraft space where that's not really valued. You know what I mean?
Right, like you're not adding anything to this conversation.
Right. And the thing is, of course, and I'm sure like book, I'm sure that cannibalism will be
What was
historical or
the cannibalism angle? Like what was the...
it's funny because I really couldn't I couldn't find the description yet. I was looking for it, it just wasn't there. I just haven't looked for the full description of it yet.
Because my first thought of like, I don't know, craft, okay.
You're cutting out, Jay. You're gonna have to lean closer now.
Yeah, sorry, I can't do that. But like, you know, you have someone, I don't know, a rival of yours, they passed away and consume them and take on their power.
I mean, if you really want to be about it, technically, at least in the U.S., cannibalism technically isn't illegal.
Really?
How you get the body technically is, because, you know, that would involve a crime. But cannibalism itself isn't illegal.
But I will say
today I learned.
I mean, and I don't know if that's the angle going in.
Yeah.
I don't really exactly know. But it also could be symbolic. It could be like, you know, the symbolic maybe there's some historical context there. The best part about Lee is his ability to pull together wonderful historical sources and make them pliable. You know how like so much of older magic is kind of like things that we just can't do anymore. You know, like in older magic, for instance, like in folk necromancy, there's many things that it kind of imply grave robbery. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you know, you have to dig up, you know.
Yeah, like they were just like, yeah, dig up this body, grab a piece of their jewelry or whatever, and fucking go for it. And you'd be like, oh, I'd get so arrested.
Isn't that like a felony?
It's like
it's
like
desecration
bad.
of a corpse.
Desecration of a corpse.
I
Which
mean,
I'm pretty
feel
sure
that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, you don't dig up.
It's a metal album.
I'm not saying that, by the way. I was just trying to make a point of like magic like that can't be done anymore. So maybe that's the angle that like kind of like bringing in.
That's kind of what we were talking about earlier, right? About like modern, how it provides limitations. So it provides limitations on our energy and how much we can practice, because devoting so much of our energy, time, our jobs to school, to like just living and surviving, right? And then, but our living and surviving is not harmonious with the land.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it was different, like in ye olden golden days when you were working the field, you were working the farm all day or whatever.
I mean, I still work the fields.
Yeah. But like, you know, you were in touch with the land. You were doing...
More of us were, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, like all of us, yeah.
But, you know, a little different, like not everyone was a farmer, so, you know, you had your tradesmen, that. So like, but what we were kind of talking about earlier, like society, commerce, trade, it was all a lot different. It was just a lot.
You know, it's funny too, because also I'm hearing sort of they were able to connect with sound secret. Like, you know, there are places like
people don't like to them. Like I think that's like something. Maybe that's like a sort of advice. If you were a magical practitioner, right? Like, understand what sacred really.
I think that's an interesting. It's interesting.
Sacred really what?
What sacred
really
means?
means?
Like the concept of something being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like. It's. I was just saying to my therapist how I felt like and it was really like got like this.
So what was it about that space?
That's done. Office. You need to if who is very sturdy, metaphorically, literally, etc. It just is the space itself held fitness, my deepest parts of, and it held space, and nothing in, nothing got out, and it all stayed there, that space with all of me in therapy, honing. It really helps you to pull it all together, and I leave that space feeling different than when I go in. There's a deep transformation that occurs inside of Satan.
I think that's the key. I think you kind of hit on it there. It's different coming out than you going in of like a Satan. Now that could be said of like, oh, I went into this place and now I feel different because I feel terrible after leaving it.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes after leaving sacred space, you might feel terrible. Like depending what occurred within it.
Yeah, I think I remember once talking to him. Didn't quite understand, but in the folklore, people like for instance often understand hallowed space, and they think that hallowed means like deeply protected. You know that wild things won't be there, but
what it really means is don't fuck with it.
Right, a hallowed space is a space that's in between. It's another name for a space that's in between here, and it's a land that we were talking about this earlier. A land in which land of the gods and the spirits will want to be, right? And it's not necessarily there was not necessarily a connotation of good and evil. It was just a connotation of this is a place that exists. It is hallowed, and that is what that and so there is ugliness in hallowed. There is pain, there is healing, there's transformation, etc. I think that these. Also, too, I found that book coming out. It's titled "People of the Outside: Witchcraft, Cannibalism, and the Elder Folk."
What about you, bro? What like sacred space? What makes a
Oh boy. I'm honestly of the mind that any place can be sacred. But when I think of like sacred ground, I think of like graveyards, obviously. And as witches, we can make any place sacred by casting a circle, obviously. Lost my train of thought. Love it. Take a hit every time you lose your train of thought. That's me.
You're muted, Sophia.
Again, I was making a ruckus. That might be the cause of it. Here's a question though. What makes a space not sacred?
Something desecrates it. Something evil happens.
What often is the most common thing that we find in our society makes a space tainted?
Say that again, Sophia?
Yeah, say that last part. Last word.
What often are we finding in our society makes our spaces tainted?
See, I almost sort of so I mean my mind goes to like
goes to where? You cut out.
Oh, murder. Like murder and
okay.
I only am thinking that because
if you kill someone in a space,
it kind of also creates
Yeah.
Okay. But have you spent any amount of time in a cubicle office?
Yes. Yes.
That place is screaming out in agony.
I
think. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead, please. I like where you're going.
I think that what makes the space unsacred is the intrusion of wickedness, right? Like, even average everyday spaces like your bedroom or your living room really truly can be sacred because that's your place of respect, right? There's something unique and deep about that space and how it connects to you. You probably even have an altar set up in your room, right? Especially with how modern society forces us to live. So, like, I think that the sacred is any space in which we have cleared away and made a barrier from intrusion on that which would deprive it of said sacredness. Which sounds really wordsy and not super descriptive, but I see it as the act of setting up a perimeter and casting out or preventing that which would cause harm or bespoil.
Yeah, we're actually kind of talking about that, like, first walk
place.
Yeah.
I was talking to Scott that one of my wards had taken a hit, I had noticed. And we were just talking about, like, the miasma is what we were talking about. And this kind of really does go back to the idea of sacred space, and kind of what you were saying, Sophia, is that sacred space is a space that is lacking in the miasma of, like, the everyday shit that we that
it's
that
not
plagues
even the
us, that bothers
everyday
us,
though.
that,
Like, if your everyday is like chopping wood, right, or like doing your laundry, it's not really that bad. You can really learn to love your just average everyday chores, right? But that's what I'm getting at. It's not the everyday tasks that piss us off. It's the subservitude to a system that doesn't respect us and deprives us of our humanity.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that becomes the everyday task. The everyday task is the getting on the train, the getting in the car,
subjugation.
It's the being in the office or the warehouse or the jobs, wherever it is that you are, being beholden to these motherfuckers for 8-10 hours a day, sometimes even more. Like, that is the everyday. And then things like laundry, bathing, eating, exercising they become daunting. They become impossible. They become these things that we're like, and then we beat ourselves up and go, oh my god, I'm so lazy because, like, I have not done my laundry. I'm so lazy because I did not cook dinner tonight or whatever. And it's like, no, dude, you're not lazy, you're just burnt the fuck out.
And it's just like, to go back to an earlier about guilt about not getting the work done
all the time.
I fell into that trap up until very, very recently.
Yeah,
I must admit, until I finally, like, I had to sit down with all three of them, and I was like, look,
listen,
we are not going to do this anymore because it's harder to get any of it done.
Right.
And so now it's like, last full moon, I went, oh god, oh well. And I was like, next one, and I kind of just moved on. You know what I mean? I didn't dwell. I didn't shame myself. I was like, oh, you're not a witch anymore. Like, I didn't do it. I just was like, I accepted I missed it, moved on. I'll get to it.
Sometimes the best moon ritual that you could do is just looking at goddamn moon. Just look at it. Sometimes it's all you need. Like, it's still there. The energy is still there. The moon is still in whatever phase it's in when you're doing the ritual. All of the planetary shit is still happening. All of the energy shit is still all the woo is still there.
Right.
Just because you're not actively like your black robes and at midnight with the candles, like, it doesn't make you less of a witch. And that has been the discourse, and so that's kind of where I was coming back. So it's like, in an online space, so if you are a practitioner, suppose you're doing magic every day, right? Like, I wake up and I do my morning spell and my this ritual, and my coffee is a ritual. Like, if suppose you're one of those, right? Your whole life is one giant magical ritual,
which I think
is cool. And if it is, bless. I'm not wired that way, but suppose it is. But with the way, like, the online community is, if you don't post about that, if you don't say anything, if you don't, pics or it didn't happen, kind of thing, and it's like,
can I just say, fuck that mentality?
Yeah.
It is extremely fucking ableist. Yes, I have a camera in my pocket at all times, and I look at it a lot. But when I'm at the beach with my husband or I'm at the zoo with my family, I don't care about taking pictures and posting them to social media because I don't care what people fucking think. It'd be nice to have pictures to look back on, but half the time you just take those pictures and they're just sitting in your Google Photos for you to fucking laugh at 10 years down the line.
Switching phones, you're like, oh shit, when was that? You're like, why do I take so many screenshots?
From what I
So
understand, Pixar didn't happen is an old internet saying because a lot of people would say like really bizarre shit and not substantiate it, and so the meme became, this is before Source, I made it the fuck up. That people would say Pixar, it didn't happen, right?
Yep.
Just as like
Pixar didn't happen.
Just as like a shorthand. That's really deep. But
oh, I'm listening.
So that's really like just where it comes from,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really means like you have to take a picture of something or you didn't do it.
It's this idea of or maybe like post or it didn't happen. So it's like if you and it's true though, because it's like because of the way the world is, like if you did a ritual in your house, no, your friend in Australia is not gonna know. You know what I mean? They're not gonna know unless they're really the fucking tune. They're like, hey, I saw you in the Astro last night. What were you doing? Like what was going on? But it's just that, and I don't wanna. I am so tired of typing messages. I don't want to type messages anymore. I think I'm really like it's making it a little different, like kind of go the next step in what I want to do. I really fucking hate social media, and I think a lot of us really fucking hate social media. It's just that,
and yet we're trying to start a business on it.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I feel as if like I enjoy it. Like I enjoy Instagram.
So funny you say that because everyone on Threads is like, Instagram is dying, my engagement is bull, and I'm like, no one gives a fuck about your engagement.
That's what I don't worry about my engagement. I just have fun.
Yeah.
Like and like when it comes to like the witchcraft thing, I stopped really caring about what it looks like. Like I will just post like
whatever,
like in front of me, and I think I could like I post it more because it's pretty, or because like I have something to say underneath of it. And it's just a pretty picture that I've taken. But yeah.
What were you saying, Sophia?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think we like hate social media. I think that there's been a very specific narrative to sour our taste of it, and there's a lot of bot engagement, which has really fucked it because it's like owned by corporations like Facebook, which don't respect trans rights, and I can't call somebody who calls me the T slur a bigot because that'll get filtered, but they can call me the T slur or tell me to 43 myself. But like at the end of the day, social media is deliberately given that opinion, and I said this like last week, because it is the tool that is connecting people more and changing more social discourse than anything has in the recent history, right? And it severely threatens the powers that be, that people can gather up and have organic discourse and spaces online where they get to talk to people from different communities and actually get to share a little bit of their experience with them to break them out of their insular experiences. I would not be the person I am today if I did not have social media or YouTube to help me see things differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's not a negative thing. Obsession with it is like here's the thing we got to remember with modern society. The issue is addiction, right? And engagement and not being self-aware of what you're doing. Most things in moderation are typically fine, right? Especially something like social media. But if that is your number one outlet how you interact with people, you have a problem. I'm sorry. Or maybe also that might be a little ableist of me to say, because sometimes social media is the only way people can get out, right? So I will put a caveat that, like, hey, also I see those people and I understand what that's like, right? Not all spaces are accessible, especially so if you have any mobility accessibility issues, or even if you have like sensory accessibility issues like crowd or lights or other stuff that I am unaware of at the moment, right? So like there's a lot of shit that holds somebody back from going out and might lead them to be in an insular online community, which like I have understanding and empathy for, right? But I feel like the constant frustration about it and outrage is like a massive misdirection from what we should be talking about, which is how to overthrow our corporate overlords, because we only have about 7 years to save the planet, so let's fucking do it already. You want to talk? I got plans.
Yeah, like when it comes to like a lot of times what I'll see on social media, someone starts a new account, right? And like, hey, I'm over here from this place, and this was my follower account, this is my engagement, you know, I'm hoping to do many posts a week. I'm so happy you follow my content. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I have never wanted to block you fucking faster. Like, you are on the internet, like, you're, when we all went on fucking MySpace and like even Twitter for the first time, you know, when some of us went on Twitter, we were all just like, haha, LOL, you know, check out this band, look at this cool thing. You know, it wasn't like, I have 47,000 followers and my engagement has gone up 3% in the past 6 hours and I am on my way to social media influencer greatness. No, all of us were like, okay, cool. You're in my top 8. That was it. Like, that was it.
I mean, there's always been people who are vainglorious like that, right? That's just social media is the way that you see it now, right? Back in the day, it would be more about driving loud cars around. You still see that a bit, sure, but like social. I mean, it still is depending on where you are. Don't get me wrong, but other places less so, right? There's always going to be people who are vainglorious, and they're not necessarily. Like everybody has their own motivations, right? Like somebody could have come from a really poor background and they're using like that as an aesthetic to build a brand so that they can actually like make money and it's a hustle. Don't get me wrong, I don't like think it's I don't really actually think that investing in capitalism is going to save us in any way, and that's my hot take of the day. I'm going to be preaching the divestment what's the word I'm looking for? The gospel of divestment, which is essentially anything you can stop relying on the system for, we should. And anything we can transition away from relying on the system for, we should. So this is like growing food in your backyard or your front yard if you're not going to get homeowners association. If you're going to get homeowners association, it's about burning the homeowners association to the fucking ground because it's a draconian thing and it's barbaric.
Agreed.
It's about doing little things like that. But honestly, like organic food networks, like growing food to the point where you have an access and sharing it without money, without the exchange of anything. Because guess what? Society keeps trying to tell us that, like, oh, you know, economy's just going bad. You gotta pay us like a fucking $3 for a fucking apple or a pepper. That rich person does not photosynthesize and grow that apple. They pay somebody in a foreign country under minimum wage, and then they pay somebody minimum wage to fucking ship it here, and they pay somebody minimum wage to fucking ship it, transport it, and fucking sell it to you, right? Nobody
like
along the line is making money. Aside from the cunts who are exploiting it on the system, and they're making so much money they keep telling us that it just has to keep being like this, you know. Just take their power away. Any fucking thing you can make yourself, start doing it. Food. Like, if you have the know-how, that's why I'm like talking about ripping up invasives and planting food plants so goddamn much. Because that's the solution. And like, if you put in raised beds, the city's gonna know, and they can just call the cops, and the cops can go tear them out, right? If you plant in like non-colonial structures, which is like, not crop rows and shit, and you gorilla plant food plants everywhere, they're not going to be able to identify it because they're not specialists. And could you imagine cops trying to go the woods and identify food plants and cut them out. No, you need to hire conservation people, and we all know it's fucking too cheap to do that, right? You hit them where they're weak. So start fucking planting food plants everywhere. I don't care who you are, you should be doing it. This is one of the most important things we can do to take our power back. The reason why when settlers came over here, there was a lot of food is because it was planted deliberately like that, to be like a food forest, right? We need to bring that back. We need to locally do it. Then we need to gather it and share it organically without any aside from mutual aid. Mutual aid networks fucking shatter corporations because they rely on us, right? The real frontier here is going to be dealing with housing. That's the hardest goddamn battle. Yeah. Same with things that are institutionalized like healthcare. But the moment you prove that you can topple corporations just by growing your own goddamn food, they're going to start fucking listening, and they're going to be scared because that is a type of power that doesn't require violence. You know, that is just as simply we take our power back by not participating. And I think ultimately that's what we need to start moving towards. The hustle is dead. Long live the divestment.
I agree. I really agree about all that. Like, and that's one of my focuses. Like with the yard that I have now, my whole focus is on revitalizing my soil, getting it healthy enough so it can support like growing food. Because I can grow a decent amount back there. I could probably, cut a lot of our grocery budget just what's back there. Honestly, it'll make me eat healthier because I just buy frozen veggies because like
you will.
Getting fresh produce is really hard. It's really hard. Like you go into the store and it's already like half rotted, and they're charging you a lot of money for half rotted fruit. And it's
you want to know why it's half rotten?
Because it took forever to fucking get here, and it's usually not even in season. You know what I mean? Or
and they have to rotate it in with stock that they're ordering. It's just a shit show. It's like, a shit show. It's piss poor management.
Yeah. Like, is it cool to be able to eat a strawberry in the middle of winter? Yeah.
I don't fucking want to. That strawberry is going to taste like shit by comparison with an actual, like, naturally grown local one with, like, a organic fucking wild strawberry. If you haven't eaten a wild strawberry, they don't taste like what you taste out of a fucking field. They taste like almost like what the candy is trying to pretend to be, and it is like candy sweet without being fake. You have not fucking lived if you like strawberries until you've tried natural wild strawberries, and you should be planting them everywhere.
We get the fake wild strawberries that grow.
They're not fake.
Naturally here.
They're field strawberries. They're like, that's the difference, is they're cultivated to be bigger because berries sell by net weight, and like most food products do. So selective cultivation has led to bigger strawberries for more sale, right? Whereas with wild strawberries, they're fucking tiny. They're like smaller than your tip of your nose. They're like, most of them are like tiny, like that big. They're like, but you eat them and they're just like the sweetest fucking food you can think of. You know what I mean? Like, it's delightful. It's like the bananas that we can't eat anymore because they're extinct.
Can't wait until so a bunch of people start growing food, right? And then all these corporations start going to the politicians, and they're like, "Listen, we're lobbying now because it should be illegal for people to grow food in their backyards. It should be illegal for people to grow food because it has to come from us because our food is the safest food. It's the best food. It's tested. They'll
say it's a safety thing. They'll say it's a safety thing, and they'll perpetually take away your rights until you have to use violence because they will not yield. Their whole philosophy is give an inch, take a mile. But again, how can they stop you from guerrilla planting? Sure, they can stop you from growing in your yards if they're going to try, but that's going to have to be a municipal battle, place by place, right? They're not going to be able to implement that at a federal level. You do massive fucking protested on universities the same way that we're doing now. It's statistically working. They're scared. We can keep doing it. And if it comes down to feeding poor people,
and universities, which used to be places of vision and progressiveness, and we're all, the idea of like a university is like, I'm a young person, I'm studying the ways of the world to make the world better, right? That's sort of like the gist and the idea behind it. And Penn University, one of the Ivy Leagues, Philly, they have banned encampment as a way of protest.
Really?
They have banned it.
It's the most effective thing you can do. Of course,
protesting is what you've done. So if you ban one method of protesting, you have banned protesting. Like in my mind, that is what you have done. That is precisely what you have. And
it'll just come down to a war of freedoms eventually.
It's just like, I feel like I got. It's like this feeling of like, if you work hard and you do this, like you'll like these things will happen, and like life kind of falls in place, and like the world will be cool, and like everything's cool, right? It's sort of like this thing that I was like fed growing up, and then like getting into like realizing all of it. I'm like,
the cake is a lie.
Yeah, like it's really kind of a lie. Really all kind of a lie, and it's really hard to reconcile that. That's what's hard, is when you sit there and you have to absorb all this information and you go, oh, so I always think about what Eve on our show there, it was a couple of years ago at this point, that I live as though as I am free, even though that I am not, and it's just like it just
So the way you can be.
Barry bit my toe.
And honestly,
every bit your toe.
To take your power back means to like live under risk, right? Because they have monopoly of violence, and they do not want to give it up, right? The closest thing to breaking monopoly on violence is like gangs, which is why they crack down on gangs so goddamn hard, right?
I'm about to actually start a pagan gang. Like when they're like pagans, like the motorcycle gang, I'll be like, yeah, sure.
Careful, you just entered the CIA watch list.
No, it's like we're more like a walking gang, because like we're like a bicycle gang because we don't have money for.
So you're the like sneaker gang.
Yeah, it's like a scooter bikes. You guys want to be in my gang?
The scooting sneaks. The sneaking scoops.
The sneaking.
So we just roll around on our scooters and we just plant food everywhere.
I kind of want to dovetail the conversation though. Like, how do y'all see your magic intersecting with both divestment and revolutionary action, and as well as like resistance action? You know what I mean? Because you don't always have to be a revolutionary to be part of the resistance, and like the future you want to see.
For me, like definitely what we were talking about with like growing your own food. Like that's my how much food can I grow, and really like rotate everything out, and still trying to like grow things in the winter when I can. Some things go in the winter. So like that's kind of where my focus is. But in terms of like activism, revolution, like things like that, like helping those sorts of things.
That is activism.
Huh?
That is bring your own food. It doesn't seem like it, but actually is in a way. You're taking power back from a situation, from a system that has deprived you of sovereignty.
Yeah. And so like that's one of the main focuses. The other that I have is I really want to formulate what I hate calling it a plan of attack, but it's a plan of attack, right? So identify these corporations, these systems, like the biggest poison, the biggest issues, the biggest poisons on our society, right? The most invasive weeds in society. How do we cull them? So like work magic to cull those things, but not in a way where it fucks everyone. So it's like, if you suppose you did a spell and you shut down Amazon tomorrow, you would screw over a lot of other people. People rely on that for medicine and food, and you know what I mean? Like, it's become a necessity. Yeah, it is run by a horrible dude and a horrible fucking corporation, but that's like. So I think my thing is this: I am all about divesting. We have to set up our own safety nets before we cut ourselves off. So
that's the thing. That's the first step in divesting, though, is like making whatever you can yourself, right? Also, I would use a metaphor from pulling invasive plants that we have. Has anyone here pulled garlic mustard recently?
Not recently, but I have
Okay.
I've been pulling
the
some
best
thistles.
way to pull a weed.
A lot of thistle.
The best way to pull a weed is to use both hands, pull very slowly but evenly. If you pull too hard, you'll break the stems. But if you pull slow and steady, all the little things that hold the structure together can't hold on individually, and you'll get so goddamn much more of the root. Sometimes the entire damn thing. Just pull slow.
Slow
and pull steady. Don't ever let off, because that'll fuck the whole thing, and you can damage it in a way that you can't return. But you dial up the pressure, and you keep it consistent, and you never let off, and you keep that pressure the whole way, and you'll fucking rip that root right out.
Also, get a good pair of gloves. I would recommend a good pair of gloves, especially if you're dealing with tiny,
What's everybody else's What's everybody else's thoughts on what they would do with their magic to change the world? Kind of want to pass the mic again. And I'm gonna hit the bong. So BRB.
So there's a couple things. Like just as far as like magic goes, there's a magical project. I'm trying to do this. I was inspired by Tibetan prayer flags, and I wanna get like a flags with so like protecting marginalized. That's a sort of like as the wind blows through the sigil, it carries the. So I really wanted to do, but as far as like something practical, like I have so my investment and really buying all of what animism wasn't just about look again, it was a way in which Arith Hagar, archaeologist, practitioner, and he basically said that animism in and of itself is a revolution, and because it especially with all the advancement we have today, we have the ability to ensure that we have glue for our home, which of course takes money out of electric companies.
I have to get my roof going solar. Like I'm so excited to go solar, just to be like,
yeah. And of course, kind of things cost money, but obviously also growing my own, trying to medicine counter stuffs, like really,
like your headache cure, like your typical ailments,
right? Like the simple stuff that I. Obviously, doctor have like,
for legal reasons, see a doctor.
But aloe, biomedicine, growing essentially my own garden, and also I want to start going to delis, like butchers, like an actual butcher.
Yeah, because the meat to the grocery stores is lackluster. Like these cuts of meat. I'm honestly one of the things that I've been doing, a little bit for myself too. I've been trying to go a little bit veggie. Like if I'll try and pick a vegetarian option. Like I've been trying to just go like less meat. Just cause like they don't put a lot of good shit in them animals, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's not good, and I noticed I was feeling, like that's just something I try, because like the way that we not great,
but right, and I think in general, a lot about back in putting money into your so many like small bookshops, small little shops and that sell like Darian likes to go to Punk.
I terrible.
You could fill soap bottles. I have like a bar from that. I have all sorts of natural like body like soap. Put your soap in them. Rub yourself with them.
Oh, cool.
Like
I've been meaning to go. And like we have an empty.
Yeah, you could like get bottles from.
That's
fill
cool.
them for like lesser, you know.
And it's like it really isn't that expensive. Like one of the things that they have is like laundry pods.
Oh yeah.
And it's like 5 cents. Like my sister priced it out, and like a thing of 30 is like less than 10.
Wow.
They're really right up Passion Cat. So shops like try and invest trust. Right now, there's not.
No one trusts each other.
No.
Yeah,
no.
And I think that have all these. How we do. The problem is cannibalize. None of it's going.
Like even when I walk, sometimes at like a small like mom and pop shop or something. Like sometimes the vibe in there, like even for them, they're like, "Oh God, are you gonna give me? Are you gonna give me grief? Are you gonna piss me off? Like I'm just trying to." Like there's a little cupcake shop by me, like a block away. Little cupcake shop, and like just, I can only imagine the grief, you know, like she gets sometimes. You know, just going in. Stop giving people grief, especially small businesses too. I see this a lot on the internet. People will be like, "I bought from this person on Etsy. I bought from this person shop there, this, that, and this happened, and this got broke." Anything that happens with shipping is not on the fucking person who, like, grow up, you know, like learn about shipping, okay?
Yeah.
And also, like, if the product isn't quite what you thought it was going to, suck it up, Buttercup. You know what I mean? And it really depends on what it is. Like, if it was slightly different or this or that or whatever. But if, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's shady people out there. But
it depends.
Yeah. It's all very...
I will say this. I used to have the same attitude until I got fucked on, like, 4 Etsy orders in a row from separate businesses.
Yeah, that's...
There does enter a certain point where people are scammers, right? And you need to fucking report that.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of places I ordered from, shit never came, ever, right? And they're like, "Oh, we sent a replacement." Well, fuck, you didn't, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so just
it's
support
it's
small
bullshit.
businesses, but also don't fucking drag them for every little mistake. They are not giant companies.
Especially if they're a legit business. Like, there's a difference between a scammer and somebody who's just trying their best.
Also, try to.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what I was. Business everywhere.
Yeah.
But, like, especially in your. Like,
yeah, like, go to your corner store, go to the laundromat, like, that laundromat, or, like, you know.
like, don't use the one. You know what I'm getting.
I've even sometimes here in America it's like a little ridiculous because like there's a National Wholesale Liquidators. That's a chain. But I went in there and I was like, huh, this is all the same shit at Walmart but cheaper. So I'm like, well, at least I could go to this chain to avoid going to that chain.
Right.
So I was like, oh, it can get. But we've been yammering on for a little bit over an hour. We should wrap things up here. It's also a little crowded.
Are you sure you don't want to go a little extra because there's extra people?
I'm good, just because we're all really crowded and hunched over this microphone here, and I don't know if we can all sit here for any longer hunched over this microphone. So anyone who was here, I haven't been able to see the chat. I don't know why it hasn't been up. I'm sorry. But for anyone who has been chatting here, hello, and also soon to be goodbye, as we're gonna log off. As always, we do have a message to share from one of our supporters on Ko-fi. We do have a Ko-fi page, which is cooler than Patreon. one of our tiers is the Hail Satan tier. It's
Yep.
$6.66 a month, and what that can do is you can just give a shout out to anything you want. You want to promote a business, an event, want a message that you want to share, you can subscribe to that tier and we'll read your message on the show. We do have one subscriber in that tier, that's Tink. Tink's also in our Discord, and Tink wants everyone to remember Free Palestine. Keep Palestine on our thoughts.
Free Palestine.
All right, everyone. We are going to log out of here. Well, on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.